Hello, everybody. This is going to be, I'm so glad you joined us. I should write down what I'm going to say because I always get really flustered, but this is going to be such a great show today. We have friends that are coming back that the third time.
Yeah.
And they are so much fun. I'll let Rachelle introduce them in just a second. But Rachelle, how are you doing? I can't believe that we're going to get to see each other in person very soon.
I know. I was thinking right before we went live, like we should take this show on the road, but next week we'll actually be on the EdTech Roadshow. Well,
we will.
You longer than I, because you'll just be seeing me in Pittsburgh, but I'm excited to see you. You're coming actually to Pennsylvania. So that's awesome. I don't actually have to go to Alaska. So you can.
Yeah, I wish people could. So I had no idea how close Columbus was to Pittsburgh. That's so crazy. In my mind, I never think Ohio and Pennsylvania. Maybe it's because I am terrible at geography. But yes, it's going to be. And I actually dropped the link and in one of the comments or whatever. So if you want to meet us out there, Rachelle's going to be in Pittsburgh, and that is on Wednesday of next week. But I did drop this in the Oh, no. That's the wrong link. But you can sign up. It is free, and you will see Michelle or Michelle. I called you Michelle because that's what we're going to be called from now on. We're Michelle now. Melshell. We're Melshell now. And you will see us on the road on Wednesday. You can attend for free. So I wanted to drop that out. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
What else is up with you? How are you doing?
All I know is just from that, I do like the Michelle thing. Because that might get me away from being called Renee. It'll just be like a refresher. Rachelle and Mel, just blend it together. But yeah, if people are interested in seeing what we're like in real life, this is pretty much it. So I just would like to see you in person. But no, everything is good. I'm excited to be here. Oh, yay. My students joined in. Shout out to Mamacita Callie who joined in. That's awesome. I know. So I'm thrilled to have our guests today. There it is. And to talk with, you already showed kind of who we were having, but it is the third time, and hopefully the sun won't be too bright in on one of our guests, and hopefully there won't be two of me unless I can send one out to clean the house. But I don't think that'll happen. So
these are of course inside jokes that you're talking about.
Oh, well, yeah, because
previous
episodes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And Frank, hey Frank, so glad that you are joining in. Now, Frank, stay with us, and Callie, stay with us because we're going to have a fun game closer to the end. So please, we're so glad you're here. We definitely want people weighing in. All right. Do we want to do shout outs, or do we want to bring our guests up?
We want to bring
together.
Yes, I think we should bring them on up.
All right.
Come
you get
on
to introduce
down.
them. All right. I'm pulling them up. Here we go, guys. Woo!
Yay!
Hooray!
Happy Friday, ladies.
Happy Friday.
Wow. Okay, so it is your third time, and it's funny because on your last podcast, you talked about SNL, and I always think whenever we have guests that have appeared multiple times, like we're breaking records like SNL, but I'm just curious.
We're not five-timers yet, but we're three-timers.
Yeah,
right.
There's plenty of time to get you back there.
I love it, you guys.
So, Wes and Molly, I want to ask you really quick, because this is what I was thinking when I was listening to your last podcast. Who are your favorite SNL actors or characters?
Yes. I love games like this. Yes. You better play.
I'm already playing. This is
a great game. You want me to go top three first?
I thought she said, did you say one?
You can pick as many as you want. I'm just curious. It made me wonder.
Let's play a quick top three round robin, all four of us.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
No, Melanie.
Okay. I can do it. I'll do mine first. It's a tie. It's like Will Ferrell, Molly Shannon, and Adam Sandler are my top three. Chris Rock. I'm sorry, four. Chris Rock, all four.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I got it. So here's the thing. You got two of my three. So Molly Shannon, Will Ferrell. My third's a Chris Farley, but he's actually my number one.
Yeah.
Okay. I love Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
like
geez.
Throwback. It was funny when he went on.
I
mean, it was crazy. And then Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry.
Yes.
Yeah, Sherry O'Terry. Yeah.
Hilarious. I don't know what happened to her. Like,
she was awesome.
I love Molly Shannon too. Also, we share a great first name, but I just like Sherry O'Terry for me. She's just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
I gotta. Well, at least I got to gather some ideas from all of you, because I don't know the last time I actually watched SNL, and the first reference I even thought about it again was when I was listening to your podcast and you guys were talking about it. But I would say definitely like Matt Foley, inspirational speaker. It was funny. Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon, of course.
Frank.
Yeah.
And then I think about I just blanked out on the one. Daily affirmations. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was Al Franken.
That was Al Franken. Yeah. Yeah. There's some really funny stuff.
Tina Fey either, who's like Weston's secret, like,
oh God,
like
yes.
muse. He loves Tina Fey. Obsessed.
Tina Fey. Yeah.
And always are great. I don't know if you guys watch There's Only Murders in the Building, but she was like in the whole last season. She's amazing. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Also, Norm Macdonald, honorable mention, Best Weekend Update.
Yeah.
Yes. For sure. Hands down. And then of course, and who's the guy
Two
that
Wild and Crazy Guys? Remember that one?
Who's the one
that was like Steve Martin.
I gotta say,
forget.
My husband is 13 years older than me, so our SNL experiences are vastly different, like generationally different. And he thinks Belushi is wonderful. He thinks that like all of those guys, I don't get it. I do not get their silliness. I just don't. And he thinks that Will Ferrell is lame. So we are just like, we don't mesh. Yes.
Okay. It's okay. You're still married.
I'm going to ask a really important question right now. Does he not like Elf?
Oh,
he doesn't like Elf. He thinks, and I got the greatest when we were dating. Will Ferrell's greatest DVD set had just come out, and I like bought it and I forced him to watch it all. And because we were dating, he did, but he will not do it again.
Really? Oh my gosh. You did that.
It's crazy, right?
Frank's coming up with all of the amazement. Jane Curtin, she's
Frank's
great.
Crushing it.
I love it. I love it.
And Frank is actually now is in Pittsburgh. And the funny thing is, I've seen Frank at different conferences, like in Texas, and you see somebody at the store or something, or for your conference, you're like, is this person I know? Like, there's no way they're here because they're a whole way across the country or whatever. So I never go into the grocery store. And like 2 weeks ago, I went in really quickly, and I'm like, that looks like Frank. And I thought, there's no way it's Frank, right? So I sent him a message. He's like, yeah, that's really nice, shiny. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you are living like 15 minutes from me. So he'll actually be at the tech show next week.
But fun.
But I'm digressing back to Saturday Night Live right now. The other one I couldn't think of, but Molly Shannon, when she did like Super
Joyologist. Yeah. Oh yes.
Catherine Gallagher.
Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the Joyologist. Do you guys remember the Joyologist?
No.
I could do that, and I did. Okay. Anyway, we're so glad to have you guys back. Wes and Molly. It's been a little bit though. It's probably been at least a year. Catch us up on what your life is, what's going on with you, and then we'll move on. We're going to talk about your awesome podcast.
Yeah, you want to start?
You can start. It's great. I feel like we both have a lot going on. That's jointly a lot going on. That's really just what we have. We have a lot going on all the time.
Yeah, it's a
lot of minutia, just constantly happening around our life.
So podcast is still going strong, which is great. So Teaching Keating is out almost every week, or
we took a breather, but
every week as we can get it. New book, The Educator's Atlas, came out this year, which is super exciting. I'm just on the road doing my thing, doing what I do. Our kids are just crazy. Like, our kids are at this wonderful age right now. They're 11 and 13. And both of them just sort of like in the last couple of years, like it's become really obvious, have like found their thing. And so like, it's a one of those parent moments where it's like when your kids find their thing and they find their groups and they find their people, like it just makes you really happy. And Melody was so
sorry.
She was so
I'm sorry.
She was like,
I could see her. I was like, did I kick her out?
No.
Did I kick her out?
I had a moment. I'm sorry. I had to
her
go.
eyes were sweating. Eyes were sweating.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's totally.
But it's just it's nice. Like your kids find their thing, and you're just it makes me really happy. And
it's been like transitional. I hate that word because I don't know. It feels like a teaching catchphrase, but like a lot of it, like when your kids. It's weird when they don't have their thing and find their group. So like the last couple years have been that of like, maybe it's gymnastics, maybe it's this, baseball team, maybe it's, and just kind of like not shopping because that's not what it is, but just trying to help them, support them in finding their people and their groove. Right. Which is such a weird thing. I don't know. As a teacher, you get it and you understand. And once your children are like, this feels weird. So like trying to support that without driving it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
it does. Here has been us not driving, them finding it on their own, but in a great, organic, authentic way. And now I actually am physically driving them everywhere else.
Right.
Yeah, but it's soon enough, before you know it, they're going to be driving themselves in places, and it's going to be, I know, not speeding up the time though.
I saw a teacher friend of mine, because I volunteer at the school, and she was, because I'm currently not in a classroom, but I'm in a classroom all the time. And I was asking, I said, how is your daughter driving? Because her oldest, and she had both my kids. And she said, I feel like I'm just racing to keep up. And I said, that's what I feel like I'm doing too. I'm running alongside my children as they like race ahead of me. And I'm just doing this all the time.
Yeah.
So that really great physical running to keep up all the time. That's what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's the ultimate, gals. Yeah. Yeah. But loving it. Loving every second.
Yeah, sorry, Mel.
No, and I'm sorry because I interrupt you, but my oldest kids are 11 and 14, and middle school is so hard. But I don't think we ever talk about, like, it's hard, it's awkward, it's the worst thing for kids. I think I hated it, honestly. But it's also hard for parents, like middle school parents. I sent these items to school yesterday because they're doing this fundraiser, and we're the parents, and the teacher. Like, one of the teachers that got it said, like, oh, well, obviously Maddie's mom has never been camping, and Maddie wasn't in the room, but her one of her classmates told her this, and I freaking cried yesterday. I was embarrassed, and I was embarrassed that I embarrassed my daughter, but it's so hard. Like, and the teacher was being human. I don't hate her or anything. I mean, I kind of hate her a little bit.
Yeah.
But, she's human. We all do stupid stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we embarrass our kids. We are in a multiple carpool, and I literally feel like my son just like shrinks in the back when I just like speak out loud in the morning to his buddies, like, "Wait, what was your Easter?" And he was just like, "Why are you even talking, Mom?" Like, it just is a weird time in life where they're constantly embarrassed. They're embarrassed of you. You're embarrassed, and you don't know why, because you don't know what you're doing that's embarrassing, but it's embarrassing to everyone. It just
you're breathing
like constant shame and humiliation for no reason. I don't know what's happening. I've already been there. I made it through middle school, right? Like, I have a college degree. Why am I engaging this again? And yet here it is. It's a weird time. To your point, Mel, like, it's like, why am I feeling insecure about this? Mm-hmm. You're walking for all the camping stuff.
Yeah.
Take that, lady. It's weird.
It's weirdly wonderful. Yeah. It's really, yeah.
I hate camping.
Yes, I do too.
I
we
hate
have baggage around it
because it's all we went camping. That was our vacation.
Yeah.
And now, like, all my kids want to do is like, let's go camping. And I was like, let's never go camping.
You know what, Weston, though, like, I'd have to say that I've seen your family pictures, the places you go. I would choose camping. No, I'm kidding. I absolutely hate camping.
And Molly,
camping means like in a cabin that is like a hotel that's furnished, that is normal and whatever. Awesome. Where I have cell service. Awesome. But I went camping once, and it wasn't even in a tent, and it was not fun. Maybe as a kid.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
I went camping in the summer in Iowa. And if you love humidity and mosquitoes and wasps, you will love camping in the summer in Iowa.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so that's what we did. It was what we could afford at the time. And beyond that, we didn't do a whole lot. And so now it's like, let's go camping. And I'm like, I don't want to do that at all.
I actually love camping. Camping in Colorado is really fun. I grew up, I did it. It was fun. Like, we could play, we were outdoor. Like, we went with like a group of kids, and like, we were so wild and feral. We like painted our faces and played capture the flag at night, which I think would be like really dangerous, but they were like, no, go ahead, 12 children.
Yeah.
In the woods with flashlights by yourselves for hours on end. But it was really joyful. As a parent, it feels like camping's a punishment for me. Because like,
you with the youth group when you did all that?
I wasn't. It was a good question. I did go with my youth group, but I also did it like, we just like had family friends that we all went to school together that were like the same age. And one of them had 5 kids, and 3 of them were like just like feral sons, and they like came up with all sorts of fun games that we got and camping is what they did. Like, their dad rode motorcycles. They just like got to do what they wanted, but they were really fun and like kind of wild, and we just followed them wherever. It was like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Little Lord of the Flies-ish now. It was the 80s, like they
right.
They're fine.
That's what I was
not my
thinking in my head. Nobody cared in the 80s. We did whatever we wanted.
Guys.
And we're all still here. It's miraculous,
guys,
right? Like, we made it to adulthood. We're functioning adults.
as our kids like to remind us, that was back in the 1900s.
In the 1900s.
I say that so often, and I don't know. I think it's funny every single time I say it, just like, the last century, the 1900s, and it does seem so like long ago. I mean, time passes. And going back, just one thing before I forget, you're talking about like that middle school age. The school I teach in, I have grades 7 through 12, and I teach. I know some of the 7th graders, but I teach 8th graders, and if they take the STEAM course, they have me in 8th, and if they take Spanish, they could have me potentially like 5 years. Yay or nay, I don't know. However they feel about it. But from my perspective, I see all those like awkward, I don't know, transitions was, the word too, like, but it's so awesome to see them as they grow each year. And now some of the seniors, they're coming up and like, there were challenges as a teacher, personalities and all those changes, but it's just like, it's so much fun to see them as they grow. I mean, from the perspective of me being the teacher. And, I love what I do. Like every day, I mean, my one class, at one class, it's a little bit challenging sometimes when we joke about it. But the other day I said to them, I go, I think this is like the best class this entire year. Like it was just fun. We were reading and they were just doing voices and stuff. And then some of the students that were joining in my Spanish 3 class, like the one, So that's why whenever we do shout outs, and I always say my students, like these are the ones, and they're joining in. So, but
it's such a cool time, like that, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, because like you're really starting to get a glimpse of who they're going to be as adults. And I think that's like, that'll be the thing that makes me misty-eyed, Mel, is like, you watch your kids find their thing, but we're really starting to get a glimpse of like who they're going to be. And
I'm going to tear up right now because I can't.
But
we're having those moments with our children now too, right? Like, because neither one of us are in the classroom currently, which is such a bummer. Like I miss it, but I am having those moments like with my son. Like we had a text exchange. He just got his phone. He was the last one in 7th grade to like get his phone. It was a whole deal. But like, even we just like had a text exchange. I almost had to catch myself right there. Text exchange. Say that 5 times fast. And he was super funny on it. And I like caught myself. I laughed out loud and cackled. And I was like, oh, this is him. Like there's moments of like his humor and just like, you just get to see glimpses, and it's weird. It's like, it's beautiful, and it's like weird little teasers. But to your point, Rachelle, like it is like you get to watch them grow and change and blossom and spread their wings. And it's such a gift. Like it will never be lost on me. It's a gift as a parent. It's a gift as a teacher. It's a gift. I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Yeah. It's also a punch in the throat, and it just gives you that humility that like nothing else in the world can do.
Gosh.
Let's talk about swag.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Totally.
Transition. Yeah.
Yes. And I loved your conversation. I dropped it in the comments and I'll drop it again. And I loved how you took apart the whole swagger. So Wes, I'll let you do that again. And you guys were asking each other questions at the end, which I thought was hysterical. And I love, Molly, how you follow the tune of your own drum, or is that how you say it? I don't know, but I was with you.
Also, Molly does. You follow the beat of your own drum. Yeah. There you go. But
my own tune.
Molly loves to combine phrases. It's my favorite thing.
So tell us a little bit.
Not with me, but it's like enduring to him. Hopefully, after 15 years,
so
15 years of marriage.
I was super interested to talk about the notion of swagger after our reference point was the women's college basketball national championship game, University of Iowa versus LSU. Super charged game for a number of reasons, but the conversation around swagger came up because 2 ladies in this game were doing what all athletes do, which is like exhibiting swag. Like they're talking a little bit of trash, they're going back and forth. It was nothing that you wouldn't see in a game of men playing any other sport.
Super appropriate.
Right. And so like the backlash blew my mind, but I'll put that on a shelf for a second. But it was a great launching off point to sort of like talk about swagger, like what is encompassed in swagger, and of these elements, like what do we want to teach our kids to have? So like things like class, things like style, things like confidence, things like dominance, like all of those elements are like, if you have swagger, all of these things are true. You are dominant, you are confident, you have style, and so then the question became like, what's the right balance?
Sure.
Do our kids have this? Do we need to work on it? And it was a fun conversation for Molly and I to have, because Molly was born with abundant swag.
I don't like that he says born with. It's very an awkward thing. It's
my gosh.
Like
And I was born with nothing but questions and self-doubt. And Molly was born with swagger.
I wasn't born with swagger. I just was born being comfy in my own skin. So like, let me just give you that caveat. But in fairness, I don't know if that was like nurtured or nature or both, whatever. That's a different conversation. I just felt like I've been myself my whole life. I don't know how to be anyone different, right? Like I would be a horrible actor. I'd be horrible at like a lot of things. I don't know how to be anyone different. I just don't. That's never been anything in my brain. But that doesn't mean like, and I didn't say this on the podcast because I think it came off wrong, but like, it doesn't mean I don't have insecurities. It doesn't mean I don't feel like weird and awkward all the time or like insecure about a lot of things. I just don't necessarily like put that out to the greater world all the time. I'm just like, well, I got to work with that, or I got to work on those challenges, or I'm not gifted in that or whatever. But it's always been like my own, in my own head. It just hasn't been like voiced to Weston constantly about like every insecurity that I've ever had.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like to put that caveat out there, because I was like, I don't know.
I'm curious. Sure. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Please.
Do you ladies?
I don't know if they do. You're going to ask it. Go ahead.
May not answer it. No.
I know. That's right. That's
so
right.
two-part question. Number one, do you think swagger has value? And number two, do you think you have it?
Oh, this is so.
Okay. Can I answer first? Do you mind, Rachelle?
I do not mind at all.
That's because I am dominant. Sorry. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think I have a little bit of swagger. A little bit. I don't know that it's something. This is what I was thinking when you guys were talking about it. I don't know that it's something that all of us need to have. I think it definitely helps us in the different roles that we fulfill, and it can make us unique. But what I loved about it is what made me think is that you operate from a place of strength. And when you have a little bit of swagger, you're more likely to do that. And you're less likely to be like stomped in the ground when other people don't see your potential. And you guys addressed that really well.
Yes.
And I want to give a shout out to one of the first or second fourth grade class that I ever taught. I had a student named Hannah, and she just found out today that she passed her bar exam. And she said, yeah, I'm going to tag her on this, right? And she didn't pass it on the first time. It took her over a year. And I'm just like, number one, passing the bar exam is like something that not everybody can do. But also a lot of people would quit. They would just quit after the first couple of times. She kept on. And I just think that is kind of where that swagger comes in. Like, and you talked about this too, when you see something in yourself and you're just going to keep going no matter what anybody says. And that is something that not everybody has.
This is so forgive me. Like, this is something.
Shout out Hannah.
I love
Hannah.
Hannah.
That's such a big deal.
No,
I
love that you said this, right? Because like swagger, you talk about swagger is about coming from a place of strength. Like, this is a thing I asked. I was just out in Pennsylvania day before yesterday, and I was asking teachers about this, because one of the things I think every teacher needs to do is ask themselves, like, hey, what's your superpower?
Right.
Everything needs to be built around that. And so again, I'll pull back the curtain. Like, anytime you see me do a thing, like I think storytelling is my superpower. I love it. I love storytelling. And so everything I do is built around my superpower. And so I love asking teachers, like, hey, what's your superpower? And if you're listening to this and you work with kids and you can't immediately identify what your superpower is, I think it's an indication of one of two things. Either you haven't thought enough about your practice, or you're being too damn hard on yourself. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So like, and it's a thing I think all of us need to be confident in admitting. And if you think your superpower is like, oh, relationships, like, dig deeper into that. Like, what are the habituated behaviors? Like, how are you good at building relationships? Because I think it's a healthy practice for all of us. And I think we shy away from it because it feels like in some way like braggadocious or self-aggrandizing.
Right.
Well, and Mel, to your point, like, you want to build it in kids. Like, that was our whole point of the podcast, is like, you don't, if it's like, if our choices are being insecure or having swag, like swag all day, all day, every day, because to your point, it's strength based, right? And you want to teach kids to operate like, what are my gifts? What are my strengths? It doesn't mean you are great at everything across the boards. That's not the point of swag. It just means you're good at tapping into like what your own gifts are, and you're going to believe what's in your heart and yourself versus like the noise out here and like what everyone's telling you can or can't do. Like, I want to bet on myself. I want my kids to bet on myself and trust their heart and trust their own understanding of like where they see their own gifts. and how to develop those things, because I want you making decisions out of your strengths, not from weakness, not from fear, not from being insecure. You want them, right? It's just strength-based learning. So you want them to develop that skill set and that discernment and that understanding internally, rather than listening to all the external noise that like may or may not affect you. It may,
may or may not even be true.
Right.
Right.
Like in the past, like being good motivators for like teachers either building you up or breaking you down. And he's talked a lot about that. And we've talked a lot about that just like in the book that we wrote together. But like really just how do you build that within your students? Like, how do you build that, like knowing in themselves, like, that doesn't mean you're great at everything. That's too much swag.
You got to know that you're good at something.
And foster that and build your life and build your strengths around that. Go ahead.
Rachelle.
Too much chatting. Sorry, Rachelle.
No,
Rachelle.
That's fine. Yes, Weston.
You guys.
Swag, is it?
Yes.
Do you have it? And is it a good thing?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a thing we teach?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can follow up with anything better or even equally as good as what Mel said, but I do.
You have it.
I think I was the other way, whatever. Pointing,
Yeah,
I don't even know.
right.
But I think everybody has it, and I think everybody needs to have it. And when you have it, it's going to vary. There are times throughout the day where I feel like I'm kind of like in the flow or in my zone, or I feel very comfortable and confident. And then there's other times where I feel like I got nothing, I'm struggling with things and I'm just like out of sync with myself. And some people, depending on, where your environment, who you surround yourself with, I think sometimes can either lift that up and help you develop swagger in a sense. And sometimes it can pull you down. And I see it, in myself. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, and it's not that like you're cool or anything, because some people think, oh, swagger means you're cool. I think it has different meanings for everybody, but that strength component of it, and where you feel confident and where you don't feel like you have to put on a show for anything. You're just you, like you're just authentically you, whatever that is. You walk into a room and you trip and you fall flat on your face and you get up and you're just like, what are y'all looking at? Like that's swagger, everybody's loving whatever. You just go.
You have to think you're cool, regardless if anybody else thinks you're cool. Like you see your potential.
My answer was not as good as Mel's, but it was awesome.
No, it was great.
I love
what is this?
And think
you're awesome.
Like that for me, like struck the tuning fork like immediately. That's exactly what it is. You're just in sync with yourself. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like you're in sync with yourself. Understand what you have going on in your gifts and what you're bringing to the table, and you understand what you're not, right? Like you're in sync. Great definition. I love that.
I like what you said too, that like, swagger is a thing that at times you have and at times you don't, right? Like swagger isn't a constant. It's not a straight line. And so like, I was thinking about like, it was something that we didn't talk about on the podcast, but like in front of a room, like in front of a big group of people is a place I feel like, okay, I've got swagger.
Oh, yeah,
like
this is fun.
I'm confident. I feel like I'm good at this, but I'll tell you what, in front of a room of like in a room of 6 people just floating around talking, like I don't have any swagger. I have only
weird jokes, awkwardness, just being a weirdo.
I'm like that too, though, Weston.
You know what I mean? Like he can talk to like 1,000, 3,000, whatever, people and be funny and disarming, and he's done it 100 times and told the jokes and whatever. And I just feel like my natural environment is just like, hi, let's just talk one-on-one, or what are you about? Or like, what's going on? Which is like his nightmare. A
standing circle at a party with a group of 4 people makes me want to throw up.
I know.
What happens if you're also in Iowa with the mosquitoes and all those other things?
Right? Yeah.
Forget it.
Just get me out of here.
Camping trip, people I don't know, standing circle. Group of 4.
Yeah. I have no swagger in the outdoors at all.
Oh,
and I want you to know that almost all of my camping was also in Iowa, in Des Moines, in fact.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
at one of the YMCA campgrounds. Yeah.
Mine was Lake McBride in Iowa.
So much history, and just like maybe some trauma.
Mini trauma
too.
Also they were playing fast and loose with the word lake.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I have to get. I'm gonna. I hate to say I'm gonna have to jump off, and I don't. This is a great conversation. I just have to go pick up my middle schoolers.
Yeah,
I want them to be
priorities.
But I want. Do we have a fun game that we're gonna do before we say goodbye?
I have a couple questions that I'm gonna ask. I'll say them. Okay. I did.
So
So first of all, I'm gonna read you a definition really quick. Here's what swagger is. The magical power that turns an awkward shuffle into a confident strut, like having a secret stash of coolness that you can sprinkle on yourself whenever you need a boost of awesome. You got swagger, you can walk into any room and people will automatically assume you're the coolest person there, even if you're just trying to remember where you left your car keys. It's the kind of thing that can't be taught, but can be inherited from a long line of suave ancestors who always knew how to make an entrance. So anyway, so that's a definition. I did not make that up.
I like it.
I do too. It's an interesting take.
ChatGPT. But here's my questions. Question 1, can you teach me how to swagger, or do I need to attend a Swag 101 course?
Oh, that's funny.
If Molly teaches it.
Guys, I just don't. I don't have a playbook.
Molly's taught me swagger.
Have I? That's
100%.
That's really
100%.
good. Okay, so yes, it's teachable. Absolutely. I mean, I'm an educator at heart, so I think everything is teachable, right? Like everything can, at some level, there's a component of like you can get better and you can learn and you can be better. Some people are born with more natural capacity. Swagger.
Answer to your question, no, Rachelle, I can't teach you swagger. Molly can, and she's taught me swagger.
Yes. You are not certified swagger. It's like you have.
Oh my gosh.
I'm the son to this Miyagi over here.
Miyagi.
That's me. I'm a little mini Miyagi. That's it. There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Do you guys agree? Do you think you can? Do you think you can grow in it?
I guess.
I think you can learn it. Yeah. I don't know that everybody can teach it, but I think it's definitely something you can learn.
Agreed.
Okay. So quick follow-up question to that. So if you can therefore then learn it, is it something that you can list as a skill on your resume?
No, it'll piss off your boss.
Saying you have swagger is the opposite of swagger.
Okay.
That's a good point. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And they either recognize that you have it or they realize no, you don't. So yes.
It's like all those chotch dudes who show up and they're like, yeah, I'm an alpha male. Like, no, you're not.
You're peacock. The fact that you have to say that means it's the opposite of actually the skill that has yet to be acquired.
If you have to label it for other people, you're not that.
You don't have it.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Like if you are that, it's obvious. And as such, you don't have, like, I don't know.
I don't ever feel like Brene Brown's like, I'm an expert in shame. Although she does say, actually,
she does say that. Yeah.
Okay,
she's an expert in shame and
vulnerability.
vulnerability.
She can say that now because
she doesn't. She doesn't have to walk to the front of the room and be like, "Hey, I'm really smart."
Shame expert. Really. I know all of these
guys. I'm really smart and really charismatic. She doesn't have to say that. She just is those things.
And then we all listen.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh my! But I did have a bunch of other questions, but I did not make them up. I was using my resources. Not going to say what those resources are. ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT
or Bard.
I know.
No, but I know Mel has to go. But
I know I hate that because
that's okay because we'll have them on for time number 4.
We will very soon. You guys are a blast, and I always find their book that they wrote together. That is so cool. I love you guys as a couple. I want to go out and drink with you both. I mean, like I do.
Do it.
Open invite.
Awesome. We always ask our guests, like, do you have any last thoughts of wisdom that you'd like to share? It doesn't have to be about swagger. It can be about anything that's just on your mind that you'd like to share with our community.
I got something real quick. It's just good for any educators who are listening to this at any level. It's the thing that I'm trying to tell everyone when I leave them. Is like this. It's April right now. This job's really hard. Like, just take care of each other, check in on one another. And the thing I'm trying to tell people over and over, and it's so funny, like many things, like I stole this from Molly. It was a great thing she said to me one time.
I don't know what he's gonna say.
And I've been telling other people, like, just trying to remind them, like, hey, don't light yourselves on fire to keep everyone else warm.
It's not mine. I stole it too.
There's just nothing good at the end of that path. And it's a thing that we're not good at in our field. Like, this is a service profession, you know, and we serve and we give and we give and we give. But just sort of like, you can't fill from an empty vessel, you know, like, don't light yourselves on fire. Like, spend time with people who you love, spend time with people who love you. It's the only way you can sustain for any length of time in this job.
Yeah, that's good.
Love that.
Mine is just, I don't want to take it too heavy and negative. And just like the last month right now in schools, for a myriad of reasons, as we all know, has been really intensive. So I just think, I really just want to make sure everyone is taking care of their physical person, but also their internal person and their brain, their mind, all of the important health pieces that we need to take to just sort of similar to his, fill those buckets. But yeah, just to really dive into those things, because your kids need you, your work is important, all of us. It's more important than it's ever been. And I think sometimes when tragedies happen and when things get really intense, we see all this stuff, like we want to shrink back and flee and shrink, just pull away. And I think we need to do the opposite of that. I think for everyone, just like take care of themselves and lean into one another. Your students, lean in, like do the opposite of what our immediate reaction is, because that leaning in is what is needed more than ever. Like, don't shrink away from the fear, just be right. Like we gotta bolster and have that strength and be there for students that we are, there for. Without being cryptic. Sorry, you guys.
No, you're good.
I love it.
Your kids, go pick up your kiddos.
Yeah, go get them. Happy Friday, girls.
Thanks for being here. We'll have you on again for time number 4 and then time number 5.
You'll be our most visited guest. I love everything that you're saying. And I just want to add to that because I talk too much anyway. So we are whole people. That's my whole thing. We are whole people. And when we accept ourselves as whole people, it's easier to accept other people as whole people. And that's why I don't hate that teacher that really embarrassed me and my kid the other day. But I mean, because I know she's a human and she makes a mistake like we all do. I've had my moments too. And I just love what you're saying, because that's how we forgive people a little bit more easily. And that's what I've been practicing anyway. So thank you for sharing all of that. Everything that you're saying resonates, and it always gets me thinking. So I really appreciate both of you, and I'm glad you came today.
Thanks for having us, you guys.
We appreciate you, ladies.
Thoughtful.
Thanks for doing what you do. And just we need more people just putting good stuff out into the world. Like, this notion that we're all so angry at one another and I keep trying to tell people over and over, like in my travels, like, you know what I discover every single time? People are profoundly reasonable.
Yeah. And good and kind and doing good work. Don't listen to the noise.
Except for that lady on the train.
We'll talk about it. We don't need to give her more energy. I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in today, whether you're watching live. Frank, thank you so much. And to Gina and Callie also for tuning in. And Dr. Kevin, happy birthday. And we will see you again. And Rachelle, I look forward to seeing you in person next week.
I know.
And bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Travels, girls.